It's time for Rybotch burning.
Exactly. And I am your hardcore host, Rick Head, and that is the classic wrestling of Joseph Knight. And we are in the moment, and we are going to talk about something that's been really blazing all over the internet, and that's the dispute between Ryback and the WWE. Now, for those of you who have not been following along, Ryback, I guess he was sent home or requested to send home, and Vince agreed because they've been having a dispute over contract money, over money in the contract. Um,
Oh, Rick, I gotta cut you off. It's not only just contract money. It's the fact that he feels his ego is so overblown. He felt like he needed to have control of his character. He wanted more from his character. Now, to a point, that's fine. Sometimes you gotta have your little go, and you gotta say, hey, I would like to have my character go in a different direction. But this guy completely thinks that he is the big thing. And I'm sorry, you know, there's nothing about the guy that screams special. I just have to throw that in.
Well, he is special, just not special in the ring.
He's
Um,
special, all right, Special Olympics
but
category.
and as you said before, he was talking about his, he wanted more in his character, and he said that more than once in several interviews that he truly feels he should be up at John Cena's level. He should be main eventing WrestleMania. And Joe, we've been picking on Ryback for a long time, saying that he may have the look that WWE is looking for, but he doesn't have the rest that comes with that package.
Oh, absolutely. Here's a guy that we've joked many times. One, he's a ripoff of Goldberg, and Rhino. And we've had Rhino on our show, and the guy is phenomenal. Not no pun intended, AJ, but the at least with Rhino, you know what you're getting, and he knows where his character is, and he's content. Rick, this is the dream of every professional wrestler to get into the WWE. Yeah, winning a world title is awesome in an indie promotion or a second company, but to get to the pinnacle of the WWE and be part of WrestleMania, be part of SummerSlam, and other pay per views, hell, to even be part of a house show, it's something that is, that's an average worker's dream. And to make that money doing something that every indie star wishes they can do. And this guy, yeah, you can have issues where your direction, you can have maybe a little problems with your money, but in the end of the day, you are making money. You are a WWE star. You are known, regardless of anything, regardless of level. You know, you don't see our truth complaining. You don't see Fandango complaining. You don't see Stardust complaining. Everybody knows that this is the only wrestling company in the world. Forget about RNH, ROH. Forget about TNA. They're done. Forget about Jeff Jarrett's, global farce wrestling. WWE is the pinnacle, and to even be part of the ring crew, it's special.
Absolutely, and again, he thinks that all wrestlers should be making the same amount of money as some of the bigger stars now. The average WWE wrestler, which I'm guessing mid to low cards, make around the average of $500,000 a year. Now, personally, I would have no problem working and making that kind of money. Now, yes, we all agree that wrestlers from any size, whether you're John Cena or the guy down at the way down the bottom, let's say, you know, uh, we'll use Ryback considering the subject, and yes, they work 300 days a year. Yes, they put their bodies on the line, but for $500,000, which you've been doing for years, all of a sudden, why is it a problem? Yeah, this is pretty much what Ryback. He made this statement today. Now, of course, this is after WWE was just having a bit of a dispute, and he posted this on his Tumblr. Today, I sit home and fly for the first time. I feel for the first time in years. Excuse me. I feel absolutely free. I will start by saying I did request to be taken off WWE television until myself and Vince could get a yes or no on a new deal. This has been going on since my IC title run and had been nothing but a major strain on my life. All I ever wanted was to work for the WWE, which, by the way, he has been doing. He achieved his goal to work for the company. He's been a world champion. Let me get back. He was told to head home to agree or not to agree to specific terms, and contrary to reports, it isn't over money or a bust of stuff was entitled, as I said a while ago. It comes down to a major problem I've not only had in wrestling, but with the WWE. Wrestling is, he admits that wrestling is determined. He goes out and talks a lot more about, wrestling and how, that at the top of every wrestler is just as valuable as the next. Now, Joe, he could say it's not about money. But he knows that the higher up the ranks you go, the more money you make. In case in point, John Cena. He makes almost $10 million a year. But Cena has a lot more than Ryback does it. One thing is Cena's a commodity. Joe?
I'm
Joe?
sorry, my mic was muted. I pulled the U by mistake. Uh, the I think the problem here is he should be content with what he's getting. Yes, John Cena makes loads of money. We could just imagine the amount. Only Nikki Bella knows for sure, and I bet she doesn't even know. You know, the Undertaker makes crazy money. Now Roman Reigns is going to be making that money. Randy Orton. Yes, those are the pecking order. They make a lot of money. You know, if you're a wrestler, I don't care. Again, he wants to make that money. He has to prove himself. Rick, you have to agree. His career. I don't care about his intercontinental wins. That means nothing if your character and your presentation, your ring work, if that's not all up to par, you know, then you're not going to move. You're not. That's why he's in pre-shows. His character, he's never developed. He talks about creativity. Well, what more creativity can you do with your limited character? And obviously, they gave him the ball. He dropped the ball a couple of times, and he hasn't improved. At least in my opinion, Rick, he hasn't improved.
No, I'm full agreement with that. I mean, I remember when he first came in to WWE, debuted as Ryback, and I mean, they gave him a good push. He had wins after wins after wins. He even, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, faced CM Punk in a cage. Was it Hell in a Cell? It was a cage match. So forgive me if I'm a little bit off on my history, but he had those opportunities, and it just didn't, meld with the fans, and over time, we've talked about wrestlers who become complacent and how sometimes that's a problem. But if you know you're not going to be able to go anywhere else, especially for the money you're making, why could you complain? Now, I want to go back to some of the wrestlers who do make the money. We were talking about Forbes Sports Money revealed some of the things that, or some of the prices that these guys are making. John Cena, again, top of the list, 9.5 million. Brock Lesnar making 6 million. Triple H 2.8 million, and then you have Roman Reigns currently at 2.1 million. So, and that's before royalties. And again, how many Ryback signs and Ryback shirts do you see out in the crowd every night? Zero.
Again, there is nothing special about the guy. What he comes out, he's a like I said, he's a ripoff of Goldberg. He's there is no factor there. There is nothing. His promos are non-existent. His ring skills are super limited. You know, I have yet to see him really do something entertaining, and that's the whole key here, Rick. Entertaining. He's not entertaining to the fans. He's a one-dimensional wrestler who thinks he's got a huge ego, and look where huge egos get you. Obviously, we've seen it all over the internet. I've made comments on Twitter. I've made comments on Facebook and other sites. That guy is an overblown. He has an overblown ego, and Rick, I think right now he's going to be on the unemployment line telling fans, "Feed me s'mores."
Well, you get back into that, and we're talking. He's really been all over social media, and for the past couple of weeks, not just recently, he's been bashing the WWE. He was overseas when they did the overseas in Dublin, Ireland. He sat down for an interview, and he pretty much said, "You know what? I think it's time for me to go to a whole new world." He was very vocal about not being happy where he was. He thinks he should be again up in the main roster. And I'm sorry, I thought at first I thought it was a gimmick because last week on Payback or this past Sunday on Payback, he comes out with a belt that says a pre-show the kickoff show or something like that. The
Yeah,
kickoff showstopper.
it's pre-show stopper.
Yeah, and so I'm like thinking to myself, maybe that was just a kayfabe, but obviously it's not. And he goes on, Tumblr and completely bashes the WWE again. Does he honestly think the WWE is going to turn around and say, "Okay, you know what, we want you"?
You know, and the thing is, he could talk all he wants. He just literally shot himself in the head. He's done everything. He's literally just destroyed his entire career. He requested himself to be put off of television. You know, again, very stupid move. You want to take yourself out of TV because you're having issues. You know, again, not the brightest penny in the world. This guy, he believes his own hype. He believes everything of he believes everything he believes his own hype. I'm just gonna. What's real funny is here's a guy who's really nowhere and makes a big thing about himself, hoping that we'll cave in and give him what he wants. He hasn't earned anything. He hasn't proven anything. Now, if this was Daniel Bryan, if this was Randy Orton, if this was any of the upper echelon guys, then yes, I could see Vince sitting down and negotiate. But at the end of the day, it's still Vince's decision. And I think they made the smart play. They said, you know what? The guy came trying to force his hand. He's going on social media trying to gain sympathy support, the pity support.
Well, you know what? Let me cut you off there because you talk about going on media and stuff, and I don't think it's a pity support. I think he thinks if he can get inside social media on the big wave, which today he is. Today he's been the talk, but if he gets released tomorrow, nobody's going to be talking about it. They'll talk about his release and maybe, where he heads next. If he's lucky, he might get into ROH. TNA, they're taking people because they're desperate, so he might jump in there only realize he's not getting a paycheck. Other than that, Joe, it's the indies, and we've talked about before how even wrestlers from the WWE, even the lowest guys, can go over in the indies and make a fair share.
Absolutely. Right now he has the opportunity. He has to wait for his contract to break. They're either going to give him his money right away, or they're going to pay him until summer, where his contract expires. He's gonna sit home. You know what? He talks about CM Punk, Rick, and he's just did the same thing like CM Punk. He just took his ball and went home.
But you know what, though? You're right. But unfortunately, CM Punk's ball was about 100 times bigger. Meanwhile, he's just taking home one of those little handballs.
Yeah, he's taking a little Spalding ball.
Exactly, but I mean, he tries to put himself in the. Again, we've been talking about this 4 or 5 times about how he tries to keep him. He thinks he's honestly in that higher bracket, and he's not, and he just wouldn't accept it. If he had charisma, if he had a lot more than it's feeding time. Uh, even his mic says when he does his interviews, I fall asleep. He has zero. It's not like some wrestlers. Now, I'll use Tyler Breeze because I cannot stand Tyler Breeze's gimmick. But when you see him out of character and just talking, and that's over on the W Network on some of the interviews, you can tell it's not the character who he is. He's just playing the character, and I think that he could be a totally, he would have a good subject for change. Same thing with Dolph Ziggler. He has a subject change, but the gimmick is just not working. But when you get back to Ryback, it's just who he is. He's the one wrestler where, it's the personality's volume is turned up, but it's really nobody wants to listen to it.
Well, and then the thing is, again, we're looking at a situation where his character, he has done zero to increase his character. He hasn't done anything. He hasn't really gone and done something and say, hey, guess what? I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm gonna improve. I'm gonna do some spectacular moves. He's done. He's botched this many things in his pre-show matches. He's gone on these different social medias complaining how everything is how he's unhappy with his position. You know, that's not a good thing to do. You don't want to go and just complain on social media. No, you take it to the office privately, quietly. Because if you make yourself look like an ass, and you try to make the WWE look bad, what's going to happen? You're going to be on your way out, and that's exactly what happened. They sent him home.
Well, and that's what we said over in our chat room over at youtube.com in the group section. And he just, he seems to think that he's on this, he should be on the top of the list. Well, right now, if he keeps, the way he's heading now is the unemployment list.
Well, I think he's already on there because they took him off. Well, he took himself off TV indefinitely. Obviously, as we've seen, this thing exploded all over social media and is on regular news. He really shot himself in the foot. He tried to use social media against the WWE as a power move. It didn't work. He's now stuck. He's in a situation that he's sitting home. He can whine and bitch and how people don't respect him and so forth and so forth. You know what? I don't know. Maybe it's the society that they all need to be entitled and privileged. Whatever happened to working hard and just taking what you're doing. Gradually move up. And I think this is also the fault of the WWE. And Rick, we've seen it. They've taken a talent, groomed them too fast, moved them up the ladder so fast that when it's coming their downtime, like Ryback is right now, okay, we've done everything we could with him. Dolph Ziggler's a perfect example. They rushed him so fast. He became a numerous time world champion, intercontinental champion. I'm not even sure if he won the U.S. belt, but he's won so many titles, been in big matches to end where he is now. Does he complain? Maybe privately. But at least he knows, hey, you know what? This is where I want to be. I don't care what kind of paycheck. Thank you, Mr. McMahon. What was that, Mr. McMahon? Kiss your ass? Yes, sir. Thank you. Because I want to wake up tomorrow morning and still say, I'm a WWE superstar.
Well, not even a WWE superstar. He has, I think Ryback, again, he has to think, he's making 3 times the amount of money that the average person makes. Yes, he works 300 days a year, but I think I did the math, and the average person works 5 days a week, 40 hours, a week, or even 50 hours a week, which, again, not the typical WWE wrestler, but they only work, just under 300 days a year. I think it's like 347. So it's and it's like 247. Wow, okay. Smoke another one, Rich. And Ryback did try to up his moves over the years. I think early last year, we saw him he bought this big trampoline and he wanted to try to do like a standing moonsault. And while it was working great on the trampoline, he just doesn't have that agility. He's a one-trick pony, and he's a there's nothing special about him.
The thing with Ryback is he's one-dimensional.
Yes.
And unfortunately, at this stage in his career, again, his performance, it's kind of, he can't improve. He can't do anything. He doesn't update his gimmick. He switched to the Goldberg boots and shorts and the undies. Then he went to start doing. He even mocked CM Punk, which, regardless of how everybody feels about CM Punk will still be the big name in about 5 more years. Well, while Ryback will be just that guy who goes, "Oh yeah, maybe I did fuck up somewhere." He's that guy who you look at and you say, well, you know what? Yeah, you're not even close.
Yeah, I mean, with the exception of the few fans that are big fans of Ryback, and I'm sure when it comes to millions and millions of WWE fans, he might have those few people who are really, Ryback marks. But in general, he's going to be going out the door. He's not going to be missed. CM Punk said it best. I remember when he said it was a pipe bomb, and this is the most truest thing in the world. Every wrestler, even somebody like John Cena, is just a spoke on the wheel. When he's gone, the company's going to keep on rolling. It's that simple. It's a harsh fact, but unfortunately, it's the ultimate truth. And when you have a career, you don't want to shit on, especially when you built your way up to finally getting, on major TVs. You're on major pay-per-views, and it's a shame, but he's going to realize it a few years down the road, and I think we can see him as being one of those pitiful, those pissed off wrestlers like, again, CM Punk, like the Honky Tonk Man, even Bret Hart, but he's going to have a lot more bitterness because Hart and Punk, they got to the top. He got kicked out because he thought he was going to try to do a power play, and W was like, just squashed him. So,
You know what, Rick? I think that what the guy tried to do, I think he actually tried to do the pipe bomb, and unfortunately, it didn't work in his favor. And he tried to use social media. He could say how it's not really money. It's about this and that. And like I said, it takes two. And unfortunately, at this stage in time, he basically burned his bridges. You know, Again, I know it sounds kind of, like I'm just like caving in, but I'm like, you know, sit down. It's like I wrote on Twitter. This is my opinion for Ryback. My statement for Ryback. Shut up, sit down, you do your job, and just collect the paycheck. Be happy that you're still in the biggest company in the world. Where is he going to go, Rick? Is he going to go to TNA? Hell, that company is so dead right now. Dixie can spin it all she wants. It's dead. It's done.
And I agree. And you know what? I'm just thinking that Ryback, years from now, he's going to be thinking this.
I'm dumb as fuck. I'm sorry.
And that's exactly what he's going to be thinking. And it's a shame, but, eventually egos get the best of you. But we're going to wrap up this edition of In the Moment. We want to know your thoughts. Do you think WWE was dumb to let Ryback go? Or, is Ryback just simply not going to be missed and he fucked up on his own? Put your comments in the comment section below. Make sure you follow us over on youtube.com/HWR show. And if you want to join in the conversation, we're over in the group sections on Facebook.com under the name HWR Chat Room. I am your hardcore host, Rick Head, and I want to thank Joseph Knight, the Classic Wrestling Manager. I can fucking talk today. Don't mind me. I'm fucking up. Joe, what do you got going on? Where can people find you?
Well, they can find me on Facebook at facebook.com, Joseph Knight Manager. You can also follow me on Twitter at JKnightCWA. I'm getting a lot of follows lately. I've been putting up a lot of retro stuff, classic stuff, wrestling stuff, talk about the interviews that we've been doing here in HWR. I also got what's called DK Retro, Danger Nights Reviews. We basically, along with Rick here, we talk about classic games, classic movies, and classic TV shows. We're currently right now getting ready to put up our review of the Nintendo series of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. The Punch-Out series, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out for the NES. It's a really good game, and I found little secrets to it. So we hope that you fans tune into that. And again, keep an eye, follow us on Facebook, follow Rick on HWR Group, and just keep following us, guys.
And with that, I'm your hardcore host for Joseph Knight. We'll see you when we see you.
Hey, Ryback. Na 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 na.
Hey. Goodbye. Yeah, so we're clear. And
I wonder if he's joining Dixie. If he's gonna be joining